What's going on, NFL fans? Welcome back to Touchdown Kingdom, your hub for the freshest NFL updates and insights. If you love what we're doing here, show us some support by hitting the like button, dropping your predictions in the comments, and subscribing to the channel. We're committed to bringing you engaging content like this on a regular basis. Before we dive into this year's prospects, let's take a quick rewind to remember the 2022 AFC playoffs. The Chiefs ended the season as the 1 seed and took down the Jaguars and Bengals en route to winning the Super Bowl. The Ravens and Dolphins still made the wild card despite starting Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson in their playoff games. The Chargers embarrassed their fan base of 25 people by blowing a 27-point lead to the Jaguars in the wild card round, and the Bills lost to the Bengals in the divisional once again. And now, on to 2023. The sponsor of today's video is BetUS. If you haven't heard of BetUS, they are one of the leading platforms for online betting, offering a wide range of sports betting and casino games. They have an incredible variety of betting options on a ton of different sports. You can do so much on BetUS, including pregame bets, parlays, live bets, and player prop bets. BetUS is offering a 125% sign-up bonus when you click the link in the description. For any questions, check out any of the BetUS customer support options through live chat, email, and phone support. So visit BetUS, sign up using the link in the description, and start betting on your favorite sports and games. Some important moves this offseason that will impact playoff contenders include Aaron Rodgers being traded to the New York Jets, the Dolphins trading for Jalen Ramsey and signing Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator, the Ravens signing Todd Monken as offensive coordinator and extending Lamar Jackson, the Broncos hiring Sean Payton, the Chargers replacing Joe Lombardi with Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator, and the Bengals improving the offensive line with Orlando Brown. To preface our predictions, the AFC is the more competitive conference in football. After looking through each AFC team, there are about 11 with realistic chances at the playoffs that no one would question a prediction for, but there are only 7 slots. Out of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, the AFC may have up to 8. The AFC playoff race is going to be more exciting than ever before, and hopefully injuries don't derail any of these talented rosters. For these predictions, we will be using our divisional showdown record predictions here as well. Let's first start with some honorable mentions that could easily sneak into the playoffs this season. The first honorable mention goes to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have a great roster all around and don't have many holes on the team. Our prediction has them finishing with 9 wins, which leaves them short of the playoffs, but depending on Watson's play, they could certainly make the playoffs. However, looking at how Watson played last season and them playing in a division with 4 playoff contenders, if he doesn't make an improvement, it's gonna be hard to slide into the playoffs this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers are our second honorable mention, with our prediction of 10 wins being just short of making the playoffs. The Steelers have a great roster, a great head coach, and a young quarterback that began playing better down the stretch last season, looking to make a jump this year. If Kenny Pickett plays well, the Steelers certainly have a chance to get into the playoffs. Our third honorable mention is the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have a great shot at making the playoffs with our record prediction of 10-7. They have a great roster outside of their offensive line, but that will be an issue because the health of Tua Tagovailoa is already questionable. Giving a quarterback that contemplated retirement after concussion problems last season a mediocre at best offensive line is not a combination made in heaven, but if Tua can stay healthy and perform the way he did last season, the Dolphins have a path to make a deep playoff run. Now, for the teams that made the playoffs, they had a cutoff of 11 wins to make it in. We'll also be adding in their odds to make the playoffs from the proud sportsbook sponsor of Touchdown Kingdom, BetUS. In the 7th seed, we have the Baltimore Ravens finishing with a record of 11-6. The Ravens are a talented team with a defense that played incredible after the addition of Roquan Smith last season. On offense, they have one of the most dynamic players in the NFL in Lamar Jackson, and an improved receiver room with Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr., and Nelson Aguilar. It is completely overlooked that the Ravens almost beat the Bengals in the playoffs last year, starting Tyler Huntley at quarterback, with his 2 top wide receivers being Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins. Mark Andrews is the staple number 1 option in the passing attack, but they will be much better on the outside with these new additions. Implementing a new pass-first system under Todd Monken will eventually silence many haters when Lamar shows his passing ability and leads the Ravens back to the playoffs. BetUS has their odds to make the playoffs at -170. In the 6th seed, we have the New York Jets finishing with a record of 11-6. The Jets have been the most talked about team this offseason, and it's for good reason with the addition of Aaron Rodgers. We believe the Jets will be a great football team, but they have one of the hardest schedules in football and will have to play the Bills and Dolphins twice, the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Eagles along with other great teams. The defense is likely still going to be a top 5 unit, only adding onto their success last year. The only question mark is the offensive line. While the interior of the offensive line is okay, the tackle position is a worry with there not being a defined starter at either of the positions currently. If the offensive line could be an average pass blocking unit, the Jets have a chance to make a playoff run off a dynamic connection between Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. The line for the Jets to make the playoffs is -140 according to BetUS. In the 5th seed, we have the Los Angeles Chargers finishing with a record of 12-5. The Chargers have a great roster, a great quarterback, and finally a new offensive coordinator that will create more explosive plays. The biggest additions this offseason was signing Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator, who has consistently had the Cowboys finish as a top 5 offense, and Quentin Johnson in the first round of the draft, who has big play potential on every single snap. The line for the Chargers to make the playoffs is -115 according to BetUS. In the 4th seed, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars with a record of 12-5. The Jaguars will be similar to last year, but with the addition of Calvin Ridley and added experience to their young roster. They should easily win the AFC South and look to make it even further than the divisional round where they were beaten by Kansas City last year. The Jaguars have -200 odds to make the playoffs according to BetUS. In our 3rd seed, we have the Buffalo Bills with a record of 12-5. The Bills have consistently been favorites for the Super Bowl for the last 3 years, but now they have to prove their worth. Their star players are only getting older, especially on the defensive side of the ball, with Von Miller, Jordan Poyer, and Micah Hyde all being on the wrong side of 30. This is a very important year, as the other teams in the division just keep improving, and there will be more competition for the top spot, but ultimately, we have them winning and being in a position to make another deep playoff run. They have -260 odds to make the playoffs, according to BetUS. In our 2nd seed, we have the Cincinnati Bengals with a record of 12-5. The Bengals have a great roster, a great quarterback, and everything else needed to make a Super Bowl run. The AFC North is probably the all-around best division in football, so they will get great matchups all throughout the season to prepare them for these intense playoff games. After watching Mahomes beat Burrow en route to winning his 2nd Super Bowl, it is now the Bengals' turn to prove themselves as equals to KC by making it out of the AFC to win their first ring with this team. BetUS has them at -250 to make the playoffs this season. And at our 1st seed, we have the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs with a record of 13-4. There isn't much to say here besides that they have the best quarterback, head coach, tight end, and interior defensive lineman in football. We expect them to come in still motivated to get that 3rd Super Bowl trophy, and landing the 1 seed in a loaded AFC would give them the edge to doing so. They have some tough matchups in the regular season, but like the Bengals, it will only aid their chances to being ready for the ones in the playoffs. The Chiefs could name themselves as a new dynasty if they manage to win a 3rd Super Bowl this season, and their odds to make the playoffs are -500 according to BetUS. These are our predictions for the incredibly difficult AFC playoffs, and as always, leave a comment about what you agree and disagree with, as I'm sure many of these picks will spark some controversy among fan bases that didn't make it. I'm looking at you, Dolphins and Steelers fans. Stay tuned for more exciting content coming your way. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you for being a part of our Touchdown Kingdom family, and we'll see you in the next one.